I was going to get some broadheads for my bow, and the guy here in town was like, so are you getting this for your boyfriend? I'm like, gosh, I'm the shooter, and he's gonna come with me. Find people that are like-minded and surround yourself with them. I think that's the real key. Find people like yourself that are successful and say, you can do it. How can you share somebody with your life if you don't really know who you are? One of my roommates for one of the archery hunts, she was like, well, you know, I'm gonna go to Africa and I'm gonna hunt these things, but I can't find anybody to go with me. And I was like,
when I walked into that gym and I saw you, you had the most massive, beautiful quads. I am so honored to have this next badass on Rebel Rootz. I told her, I was like, just a minute, I gotta read this off here because there is such a huge list to make this introduction. She has been a native North Carolina, which is very hard to come by because we're all transplant, world traveler, hunter, owns her family business with the custom homes. She has been in CrossFit, strongman competitions, free diver, U.S. Coast Guard, traveled all around the world, avid hunter. And I know that I'm missing a lot of the stuff, but we're going to dive right into it. Please help me give a badass shout out to Jana Fogleman.
hey, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. I know it's taken us a little while to get on this episode, but that's because, I mean, on top of just a little part of what I've even listed, you are in the process of planning a wedding, getting married, which, you know, you guys are a perfect fit. I'm so happy for you and Sam. And so, okay, I kind of give you a little heads up right before we started. And like, just for anybody who's joining and haven't listened to before, I truly believe that we had an assignment when we were put here on this earth. And some of us have zigzagged around, but we always are going to come back to the purpose of why we were here. And I know for me, I can kind of look back, and I never thought that I'd be an entrepreneur. And looking back, I was like, oh my gosh, I really was. So I would love to dive into your childhood and give me a catch up to where we are today.
Okay. Yes. From North Carolina. I was actually born in Durham, and it's in the middle of the state. Me as a child, I just have one blood brother, but I have, my dad's business partner's kids were boy and girl, and they were older than I was as well. So I grew up the youngest of basically four. And actually, as you're asking me this question, what brought me here today, I think that's kind of where the drive came through, because I was the youngest. You know, even at like age 4, we were all in the pool, and I just followed them up to the high dive in my swimmies. And my mom said she looked up and I was just jumping off, like, not, you know, just no fear, just, you know, wanted to be with the big kids. And, she said I just never stopped from there. But I think that's kind of the beginning. That was like my first sport, I guess, was swimming.
It was swimming.
Just at the country club, and they wouldn't let me on the team until I was 5. And by then I was already diving and all this kind of stuff. But my first kind of sport was swimming in the pool. But my dad was a builder, and so we always had beach houses. And so I also surfed and sailed and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a water baby. That's just kind of where I'm most familiar. That's kind of my memory of you.
Yeah.
You and Dawn.
I tried to have Jana teach us swimming at one point for a try. That did not go well. And you ended up stung by a stingray like that day. Do you remember? I was like, here she is trying to help us, and she gets stung. Or not a stingray. I'm sorry, a jellyfish.
Yes, jellyfish. And there's so many jellyfish here. You know, of course, like it's like the only time that you're brave enough to get in the water. It's like, I mean, I'm so sorry. Always stung by jellyfish, and it happens to be on your first day. But we tried, and you know, it's always, for me, like I'm at home in the water, and so trying to teach people to not be afraid is it's hard, because that's like an innate fear in people. But you did very good, and you got in. You know, most people would not even get into the salt water. You know, you not only got in the pool and you got the salt, like that's a brave person right there.
I get claustrophobic in the ocean, which sounds really weird. I know. But if you are, you are. And I can't see below me. You can't see because waves are crashing. And so you just like, I feel like I'm trapped, even though you're in this wide, massive, piece of water.
Dark. It's dark. There's jellyfish and sharks.
Oh, yeah, there's just some. I'm like, what's below me? But anyway, okay. So join the swim team at the age of 5, and
swim team. I played softball. I showed horses, and I danced in a competitive like tap, ballet, and jazz. And that was all kind of through middle school. And then I started playing soccer because they've had I finally got them to do a women's soccer team, and that kind of became my main sport. And my mom was like, okay, you're going to have to choose. You get 3. And so I kind of had to narrow it down. But through my life, I kept the water aspect. I always swam. And later on in life, that helped out because for triathlons, I was not afraid of the water, and I could run, but I actually didn't know how to bike. I bought my bike here actually in Wilmington. I bought it. It was actually the biggest purchase I'd ever made at the time. It was a few $1,000s. And I looked at the guy at the cash register, and I was like, can you take me in the parking lot and teach me how to get on this thing? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I've only rode a beach cruiser. I have no idea how to like clip in and out. But the water thing was always like now I see myself today and I understand because I think when I saw you guys, I was doing a lot of spearfishing and you guys were trying that, which is awesome. I love that you guys are trying stuff together. But since I'm from here, it's just scuba diving. I ended up being an instructor because I had so many hours. That was part of my travel. I think that started a lot of the travel. I went with my dad. I got certified as a junior diver in middle school. Dad took me to Mexico. I started diving. And then from there, I've done several dives around the world. You kind of just want to, we've had a lot of shipwrecks off our coast here. But then I went, Belize in the Blue Hole. I've been diving the Red Sea. I got my dive master part in Bermuda, part in Bali.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What was your favorite dive? Or do you have one?
There are 2. One is actually in Florida. It was a 500-foot tanker that sank. And they've got these big grouper that they're like resident grouper. You can't shoot them or anything, but they're like the size of a Volkswagen. Oh my God. They're just there, and they kind of like protect the ship, and you can go in. It looks like the Titanic when you go down, and you could go in the portholes and swim in and out. And I just thought that was amazing because here we have so much current, you can't really enjoy the shipwreck. Down there, it's clear. You can see. You can go not even a fourth way down, and then you have to come back up because it's too deep. But the second favorite dive would be the Blue Hole in Belize because it's a wall, and you can't even see the bottom. And that was just crazy to me how just like that's scary to you. But to me, I was like, wow, that's fascinating. We haven't even been that far, and it just keeps on going. So that
like, where does this end?
Where does it end? I'm not even sure we know. So that was just really fascinating. I guess intriguing, for me in the sea. Let's see. So that led to, I'm a boat captain. It's just kind of, we're from here and I've always been on boats, so I got the hours, so I got that. I just try to constantly learn new things.
Yeah. And then did that lead into the Coast Guard?
Well, the Coast Guard is who issues the captain's license. So I didn't enroll in the Coast Guard, but you go through a course to do just the captain's course. So it's like a few weeks, and then you have to take the exam and know how to like navigate and all this kind of stuff. So I have a Coast Guard credential, but I didn't necessarily
join the Coast Guard. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
So I met you too in CrossFit, and I have always grown up with big thighs. My dad is German, and I swear that's why it is. And I have always been so self-conscious of my quads, and when I walked into that gym and I saw you had the most massive, beautiful quads. And I really have learned, you probably don't even know this because I probably have never confessed this to you, but I kind of accepted my quads because of you. Because I was just like, this girl can walk around with these huge, massive quads, and she is so confident. And I'm like, okay, I can own mine too. But yeah, I found it amazing and so inspiring that you outdid my quads, naturally. And you owned them and you weren't afraid to wear shorts, because I still to this day do not wear shorts because of my quads. Yeah, it's crazy. I know. But I'm going to this summer.
Now,
This summer is it. I always say this is it.
I'm also German. So Fogleman means like birdman. So I think just genetics, that is where they came from. So I've kind of fought all my life for like to work on my hamstrings and my glutes, but it's just like all the sports I played were, basically speed sports, and I had to like go fast really quickly. And I just always had big thighs. And so I never wore jeans as a kid. Like that was like I think I went through kind of the phase that you're talking about as I was younger, because I was a little bit chunkier when I was younger. And so I never wanted to wear jeans because I never could fit in any, because you get some that will fit your thighs, then they're way too big on the waist and like, makes you feel fat. But so nowadays there's stretchy jeans, which are amazing. And we did not have those, but that would have helped a lot. But now I think I have to work not to work my quads, like everybody's doing all the booty things. And I'm like, well, I have to just do the ones that not working my quads, because they will just blow up. And I get it. Like that's for a girl.
That was my biggest thing in fitness competitions, was to get my quads down. And I never lifted weights. I did reps. I just remember doing leg machines or squats, and I would be doing like 100 to 150 reps at one time just to like burn them out without, it was like a boot camp for my quads. I wouldn't put on it. I still don't lift weights on my quads because they just blow up so easy. I'm like, why can this not be my abs? Like, why can my abs not be a six pack? Why did I have to develop the quads? But so you were in CrossFit and I think you were an instructor when I was kind of piddling around.
So I think also when I met you, I was doing kind of a transition because I taught basically aerobics at Gold's and hip hop. And then I kind of started to transition into CrossFit and doing more lifting and Olympic lifting and stuff like that, and doing the triathlon thing. So I think I get bored easily. So I'm just like wanting to learn new things and go into new things. But yes, I was an instructor in CrossFit, did a few CrossFit competitions. That's hard on your body.
Did you go to the games when
I was an alternate, so I went with Melissa and them and, supported them and in case something happened. But no, but I was there and training with them. So that's what
then you went from CrossFit to strongman?
Yes. So the gym owner that we were all in the gym one day and Tony kind of came in. He was like, well, there's this new strongman competition if anybody's interested in learning about it. And I was like, that sounds really neat. Everything was so different than what we've learned. And, you just picked up odd objects and people were lifting cars and lifting concrete stones. I just thought it was really, really neat. And the community was really good. So I kind of did that for a while, which was very, very interesting. Very interesting. And I got really strong in areas where I wasn't necessarily before. But I'm really short. So a lot of things there, you had to like pick up these big boulders and put them on a big shelf. And the shelf was always like my height. And I was like, it's not really fair, but you learn other ways to lift things, which I thought was challenging and fun. But so yes, I did that for a while. And then after one competition here in Raleigh, they put a deadlift machine on an actual truck. And the whole goal was to see how many you could do in like a minute or something like that. And I remember I got to like 10 and I was just in the zone and they were like, stop, you won, you don't have to do anymore. And I was just such in the zone. I like put it down and I literally like almost passed out. And I was like, I think that's probably the last one I want to do. I think I'm good. I'm good with that. Did
you do the tries before the strongman?
Yes. So
okay.
triathlons were.
So it was kind of like try, CrossFit, strongman?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Are you doing anything else with fitness at the moment, or
I've kind of calmed down from all that. So I'm just lifting 3 days a week. I'm doing more hot yoga, sauna, ice bath, and doing right now, since we're going to New Zealand, we'll be hunting on a very, very major terrain. So I've been doing a lot of the stair climber with my weight vest and with my boots and just preparing for the alpine hunting portion. So it's more like geared toward, rather than it was like, used to be like geared toward I had a competition or a try or something. Now it's like we're going hunting and I have to be ready and I have to be, not only, I mean, you know this, not only do you have to be physically fit, but when it's time to shoot, you got to calm down your heart and you got to be ready. Like, and if you're out of shape, that is no bueno, because
No.
you're like, oh no. So
dive into this a little bit, because were you always a hunter?
No,
Okay.
my family, so my dad and my brother are very, very big hunters. And I've always gone fishing. We've always fishing inshore and offshore. I've always had boats to do that. And I totally love doing that. But I never really got into the hunting thing until, I guess, high school. We have like a duck hunting camp and it was supposed to go up there, but I went hunting one time with Dad and Van and it rained and I got cold. And so I didn't try it for a while. But after that, my brother taught me how to deer hunt and I got my first buck. And then after that, it was kind of just an obsession for that. So it was mainly deer. And then it went into salmon. He took me turkey hunting. That was fun. Hog hunting. And then it kind of just went from there. I joined a lot of women hunter groups like on Facebook. And I just started going on trips. I didn't know anybody, but I was like, oh, that sounds fun. I'll go to Missouri. Or, one other one was, since I rode horses, it was a Wyoming pack trip on horses and we went fly fishing. And so I just started meeting a whole network of women in the United States that also wanted to go hunting. And one of my roommates for one of the archery hunts, she was like, well, I'm going to go to Africa and I'm going to hunt these things, but I can't find anybody to go with me. And I was like, I'll go.
Go.
So yeah. And so then she had another girlfriend come from up north. And so the three of us came from different places in the United States and we literally like met in South Africa and went hunting. That was my first time hunting in South Africa. So that was really, really awesome.
I know. And like your background's amazing. So that you see all this, but I do know, tell me, I don't know, is this so kosher, but tell me everything that you have hunted. And
okay. So we've got deer, duck, hog, turkey, bobcat, coyote. Then you've got a different species of deer. So that's mule deer, more out west. I've been elk hunting in South Africa. It was zebra, ostrich. You can actually see him on the wall above.
oh my gosh.
That was the best meat ever. And let's see, those type of antelope called a lechwe, an oryx with really, really long, skinny horns. And they also call that a gemsbok. Let's see. And I got a wildebeest. So Beauty and the Beast, that's that cool, a wildebeest. I got a black one. The next time I went to Africa, my all-time bucket list was to get an African Nile crocodile. And I completed that last year, which was amazing, amazing, amazing. After that, I was kind of like, gosh.
What's next?
Yes, what's next? Then, let's see, there was an eland, and I think that's it for as far as animal. And then, we're leaving to go to New Zealand. We'll get married, and then we're going to go red stag hunting, which is a different kind of form of, they have kind of bigger horns than elk. So we'll be doing stag
you're getting married in New Zealand.
Yes.
So that you can go on a hunt afterwards.
Yes. So we're calling it our hunting moon.
Hunting moon. That's so good.
Yes.
Was Sam always a hunter too? Or did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's actually how I knew him. Like his family and my family, his dad and my dad were big fishermen. And so they had their boats in a similar place and they fished. My dad was friends with them. Sam was friends with my brother. So I met him. I've actually known him. He's been our veterinarian for my whole life. Yeah. And he's just a little bit of a age difference. And so whenever I knew him beginning, he was a little bit older. And so now we went turkey hunting a few times. We were in the same hunting lease. Yeah, so he's been a major hunter. Like he's like Crocodile Dundee.
So do you get a lot of negative feedback on social from doing all of this? And I know that you guys eat all the meat and, all that, but how do you deal with that? Are you just like whatever, or does it ever bother you, or is it?
I've learned to kind of calm that noise, but I will say that in the past, ever since COVID, that has calmed down a lot.
Okay.
Because I think people now more than ever realize knowing the source of your meat and the source of your food is very, very important. And I think that the information now that people are getting through social media is, if you don't know the source of your meat or the source of your food, you may be getting chemicals, pesticides, or antibiotics, whatever in your food. And hunting or harvesting your own food is the best way to know your source. And so I think awareness of that has really, really helped. I think I got a little blowback for the bobcat, but even that, so if you understand the circle of life, there are several bobcats that eat the turkey eggs. So one bobcat can literally kill hundreds of turkeys. And so hunters are the best conservation efforts. They conserve land, they spend money on land, they spend money on reserves and protecting wildlife. That's kind of how I always come back to someone if they say something. I'm like, okay, if you are a vegan, I understand. So that's against your moral code or your religious code. But if you're not, then I just say, I'm aware of my food source, and it's up to you to know your food source. So I'm not going to judge anyone else for how they're getting their food and what food they're eating. But now that's what I'm doing. I'm doing my own grocery shopping. So there are some things I don't post, like the zebra I did not post. I understand it's a whole different thing. But everything that I hunt, I eat, other than the bobcat. So he's just a predator. But yeah, my mom actually, we used to shoot squirrels when I was younger, and she was like, if you're going to shoot it, we're going to eat it. And so we had squirrel soup, so it was always like, you're not going to do this for horns or for anything else. So, yeah, but that was hard, especially being, now I'm a little bit older. I can handle criticism and I can handle getting asked things like that. But, it was hard there in the beginning, especially being a woman. And so that's why I reached out to other hunters, and Facebook was a great way. And I met so many other women, because I kind of felt a little ostracized when I first started because I was the only one that I knew, But after I started that network, it's just very refreshing. It's kind of like the fitness network, like if being connected to other people with like minds is just the best, because you don't feel ostracized, and you find people to look up to, and you find people that you're not odd, but there are other women that I had a few women that I followed. And then now that I'm older and I've done a lot of this, I feel like I can teach and be a role model for other women. And that's been really neat. And looking back, I can kind of see how that happened. And that's been a really rewarding thing of my life. So I think it's pretty neat.
Well, I was going to ask that too, because you kind of stop the stereotype, because everyone thinks if you're a hunter, you're a male, right? And that was what I found so interesting with you once you started doing this. And I just kept watching you. I was like, man, you're putting a whole nother status quo out there for a female. And so I was wondering, like, do you get even like, is that when they comment, is it women commenting, or is it men commenting, or is it both? And then do you get it's both. Okay. Hmm. Do you get anything from the men? Like, you shouldn't be, I mean, I know this is kind of like stereotypic, but I'm super curious.
From the men, never like, you shouldn't be doing that. More like, what I've experienced is actually just a few weekends ago, we were in Nashville for like a hunting convention, it's where a lot of people come together. It's a convention for international hunters, and you look at different hunts in different places. And I was with Sam, and it's actually really surprised me that it's happening now. But almost every booth we went to, we would walk up there and they would be like, all right, and look at Sam and be like, okay, what do you want to hunt? and like not even look at me and then be like, okay, well, you're looking for one hunter and one non-hunter. And I said, no, I'm the shooter and he's going to come with me. And it was just, for that to still be happening this day is just crazy to me. And I think you just purchased a bow, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to get some broadheads for my bow, and the guy here in town was like, so are you getting this for your boyfriend? Like, gosh.
What do you think would change that? Do you think just more women being, I mean, there's like a lot of women that hunt like deer and turkey and, but I mean, what changes that? Do you know?
I guess just more women getting out there and speaking up. I'd probably say, several years ago, I probably wouldn't have said anything. Just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't do that. But now I know enough and I'm confident in my hunting skills enough to be like, actually, it's me and I need 100 grain. I need, and like I'm intelligent about this and I'm confident enough to speak out where I know that I wasn't when I first started. And that, that goes with anything. But I think even if I look back on posting my first anything in camo, because you always look at your own post, you don't want to, you want to look good and you don't want to look a certain way. And one day I was just like, why do I even care? Like I'm wearing camo and I'm just going to do it. And I've had a lot of women like, not that I don't even know. And if meet them in life, they're like, God, you post all that stuff on camo. That's so awesome. I've always wanted to do it. I just haven't gotten the nerve to do it. And I get that. Like I just had to get over that hump too. We all feel we don't want to be seen in a certain light. Same thing with the quads, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I used to be so embarrassed about it. And because some guys actually, the negative comments, I don't know if they were like, oh my God, your legs, like, they're like tree trunks. And I'm like, thank you.
Like, don't use that as a pickup line later.
Yes, no. Like tree trunks, elephants, like, man, your legs are so huge. So I had to kind of turn that around,
I think a little bit opposite, like you wearing camo, where this was like years ago. We wore camo and stuff, and we got called posers because of that, I can't remember what they called it at the time, but I was like, okay, I get that. Like camo was put on here for a purpose to hunt and to do environmental control and all that. But I was like, it can be fun too. Like there is no stereotype around camo. And then I don't know. So I didn't wear camo. I kind of took a break from kind of doing that, because of the comments, but gosh, it's been years ago and I'm sure, everyone's wearing camo now, but yeah, I got called like, you're such a poser. And I'm like, well, I'm not posing to beat anything. I'm just wearing pants and a shirt, like who says that when you put this on that you have to go and kill something? And how do you know that I have it? Like, maybe it's just not today, So
yeah, you do own a farm. And so it's breaking those stereotypes. And yeah, now I'm confident enough, like after we go hunt, if we stop and get gas, I'll just walk in the convenient mart, just here I am.
Blood on your hands and everything.
Yeah. And it's actually quite funny because gals don't know what to say. And, they're either like, what'd you get? They're either like super excited and want to talk to you, or they're like, and almost I forget now. I forget that I even have whatever get up I have on. But that came with age and experience, and
yeah,
that was a thing for a long time.
You just get more confident as. I think it's true, like with the age, right? And have you gotten a 5 yet in front of your number? No. Okay.
Just a few years though will not be long.
So I have a 5 in front of my digits, and I think it's true. Like you look back at your grandparents and they would just say whatever they wanted. You're like, oh my God, you're so rude. Like, why does that stuff come out of your mouth? And as I keep getting up there, I'm like, I totally get it. Like, you're just sick of shit by this point.
Yeah. It's really, and that's kind of like a hump. I like almost even like last year or something. I was like, golly, I don't really even
I don't care.
This is me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought I would dread this age, but it's been a little bit enlightening, to be honest.
I thought I would be scared too of this sector of my life. And I'm really okay. I don't know. I think it did work a little bit because I had said the word 50 like 3 years prior to turning 50, so that I had like momentum going into that year, And so by the time it hit, I was like, oh, I've been like 50 for 3 years. So this is, I got this, versus I think 25 was like my hardest year to turn because
Quarter of
I
a century.
wasn't in my early 20s, right? I was in my late 20s and I was a quarter of a century. And like all of my life is over, because I'm going to have to like seriously adult. And I was like, I don't know. But now I look back, I'm like, what the hell were you thinking,
Yeah, it's like a little crisis. And like at 25, I was not really anywhere I thought I'd be. You always think 25 is so old when you're younger. And then when you get there, you're like, dang, I did not think that at all. And here I am.
You said that you worked for your family business.
Yes. I tried very hard not to. I'm not sure why. I fought it. I, I actually wanted to be a veterinarian. So that was the route that I was taking. And either veterinary, I went to Carolina and I signed up, I actually changed it to pre-med. And then I took my first chemistry class and I was like, I think I'm going to change. It's very, very hard. So I just switched to business and went that route and went to real estate. And then my dad wanted me, I came home to help him with his books and I'm still here 25 years later. So I've gone up through the ranks and my brother now run and own the custom home building side of it. My dad still does some development and I help him with that kind of stuff, but Van and I are mainly on the custom home side.
How does do you have family drama in there, or you guys all seem?
Some, but I'm so blessed. My brother and I are very different. So I think that really helps, especially we have different clients and I'm very black and white and he's like soft and cuddly and,
That's not what I was going to think that you were saying on that.
Well, he's just like, he'll be like,
it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It'll be fine. You can give it to us next week. And I'm like, but we need it now. So it's a good pass off, very, very good pass off. So we don't fight, we don't anything. We back each other up. It's been pretty neat. If I'm out of town, he covers me, and my dad, my dad still is, involved and helps, and that's been very helpful too, because he's always on the entrepreneurial path. We were never really alone because Zach always called Dad and be like, Dad, what do we do? And he's been through it all. And like in 2008, we're like just having someone to call and that was a very big safety net, and
what's the best advice that you would have for family business owners? Like if you're someone sitting here thinking whether to take the leap with their family business, what's the best advice you have for going in it?
I think that in your heart if you're a 9-to-5 person or if you're like I would say gambler, but you have to be like, trust yourself and that it's going to work out rather than just sitting at a job and doing what someone else wants to do. And you've got to value your freedom and trust your instincts. I think it's so much more rewarding. We are on call like 24 hours a day, right? So when you're an entrepreneur, you're always have to be available. But the flip side of that is you can take off and do kind of your own thing. So I would say go for it, but I would say be smart about it. And even if you have people working below you, always check back. Would you say that's a good statement?
Yeah, I would say you're spot on. So I think when people start the entrepreneur, and I don't again, I haven't worked with my family. I guess I have. I've worked with Dawn, but I don't know, we're different, right?
But that's not like blood. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I guess it's worse maybe because we have to keep the paperwork together, right? Because he's not blood, so he could split. Who knows?
Yeah,
so, I guess with blood, you can piss them off and you're always going to be blood. They can't disown you, right?
Right.
I guess.
Well, they could, I guess, but.
But yeah, I just think that everyone starts entrepreneurship because they want freedom, right? But I think that they forget the part about gaining the freedom of that. Like it is 24/7, exactly like you said, you're on call, you never shut down. It always comes home with you. But man, if you're wired that way, it's okay. I just did someone always this whole freaking balance thing. I'm like, there is no balance. I don't know who even came up with this. Someone who wanted to sell a fucking book, but I was like, how, even in the world, if everything's balanced, nothing moves, right? So why do you not want to be moving? Now, I'm not saying that it's always in the best direction that you should be moving, but
right. And who's to know? But
yeah, but I feel like if your time is equally spent every which way, there's never no forward momentum in that. And
right.
And sometimes you can't ever figure out problems until you have maybe overcompensated in an area of your life to figure out what maybe is, I don't know. There's just so many lessons to learn. And if you're balanced all the time, I just think it's BS.
Well, no, I mean, you learn through conflict as well. I mean,
Very
that goes for business and that goes for personal and relationships, and if you're always just even keeled, and you'll never learn anything about yourself, about other people, about any business. And so if you don't take risks, then you really won't ever learn how you truly handle stress, or how you truly handle being at zero, or being scared of being at zero, or losing money or gaining money. You don't know how you're going to react in those situations until you've kind of navigated. But if you have a good support system, then I feel like that's great, because you can have someone push you or say, hey, I don't know. I've always been the kind of person that I won't make a decision unless I know every option, all the information. I'm like a researcher.
Yeah.
But I know some people.
Why?
You probably, yeah. Are you and Don opposite?
He's a planner.
Okay.
I'm jumping out of the plane and he's like, the parachute. I'm like, what? I didn't think about that.
Yes. And that's what makes you guys great, because it's a compliment,
I guess that's balance.
Yes.
So I just totally destroyed my whole thing there. I guess personalities need balance.
Balance together. But opposites attract.
Talk about you and Sam. How is this going to work?
So
first time being married.
Yes. I waited a long time. Probably to a point where I didn't know if I was being too picky, or maybe it just wouldn't happen for me. And then I was like, okay, I'm fine if I don't, just kind of accepted it. But then, I've always known Sam, and then we kind of started dating. I was like, this is perfect. And I think it was just a timing thing. I think I had to go through a lot of ups and downs and learning myself, and him too. I don't think I could have gotten married when I was early 20s like a lot of my friends. I feel like I've been 10 different people.
Yeah.
That's it, And I think it would work if you can grow and ebb and flow with someone for that long. But I don't think I could have, because like I said, I just need to find it all out, and I've done it all. I've been there and been around the world, and I've done so many things. I feel like I'm good. And now I just want to spend time with him and do the things we like to do. And it's easy. It's the first time I've ever had just easy. And it was like a peace. Work. And I was like, wow, this is it, So
for the 25-year-old out there, what would you tell the one who thinks that they're not going to find love, that they're so far behind in life, because they don't have, I always call it the white picket fence dream,
Well, you always, we're girls. That's what you think about, right? You think about your dress, you think about your wedding, you think you're going to get married, and you think you have these preconceived notions of, I'm going to have a family by 25 or 30, or it's never going to work out. I don't think you can really force anything, because if you do, then you kind of put yourself in a corner. I knew myself, and I had to just go out in the world and be myself and be free. And it wasn't until I did that I had a instance of calm, because I didn't think that how can you share somebody with your life if you don't really know who you are?
Great.
And how can you put someone else's trust in you? And I feel like now, it took me a long time, granted. I took longer than the other people, but I had to trust the process. So I think I would say to the 25-year-old, don't feel like you have to do anything because society says that you do. You know, there is the whole thing about children. Well, you can freeze your eggs and don't wait. But doing something so something else doesn't or does happen is not the way to go. That's a tough one. If you find the one, then go for it. But 25 is young, 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 young.
I know. I look back, probably why I'm divorced, because high school, and I'm not saying the chances of high school sweethearts I think currently working is very slim. Only because you do not know who you are, right? And I know, and I have friends who are high school sweethearts and they're still going strong. But I do, I just think they are different souls. I think that there's young souls and old souls. And if you're an old soul and you know exactly who you are at that age and confident, then I think it works, But if you're, just that soul that can't figure it out yet, then why rush into something or to match up with someone that, what if their soul's the same? Like you all are going to just be going in a different direction. I don't know. It's tricky nowadays.
It's very tricky. And I would say if you're that young and you're wanting to do that, I would honestly say just stay together.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily get married yet. Because if they are the one like you're saying, then they'll still be there in a little bit. I just don't see the rush to get married right away. But to each his own. There's some people that are, I guess, more homebodies and they just, this is what they want to do and they want to live in the house and they want to have the kids and that's great. I personally, I didn't have like a baby. I never had like the urge for that until I actually had a dog. And I was like, oh my God, this is, I was like, I really like being a mom, even though I'm a dog mom. It wasn't until then that I was like, oh, this is the motherly instinct, and or the urge. But if you have that urge early, then I don't have any experience knowing that because I do.
Well, I think that's an awesome point too, because then a lot of us feel like something's wrong if you don't have that urge, and that's okay too.
Yes,
I think
that's okay.
That urge comes again. We've just been taught, I feel like, that there's a timeline to everything has to happen, and that's why I don't do 5-year plans because I don't even know where I'm going to be. I know where I'm going to be tomorrow, but
right.
A week from now, my whole thing could switch and I could be somewhere else. I could get a call and need to go somewhere else. And so I know that drives Dawn crazy. It's like, you don't have a plan. I'm like, I don't, because I don't know. And why don't I want to say yes to something because I have a certain plan in my head, I always want to be in that state of mind where I can say yes to anything and go with the flow. Now, it doesn't always work out to the best, but for the most part, I would say 90% of the time, I'm good.
I had a high school roommate that was similar spirit. She would manifest these things and she was a doer, but everything would always work out because she would just make it work out. And I'm like, oh my God, you didn't even plan. Like, it was always amazing to me because I plan and research, right? I'm spontaneous sometimes, but I have to know the information. But it was always very intriguing that she could just do that and not care. It's crazy. But I think you have to research both sides of yourself.
Agreed.
That's okay.
It's not for everybody, but I can't be in a box. I just, if it's like straight edge, it makes me crazy. I just like that twisty turny, type of thing. And then there's a secret door and I go through it and it's worked out okay for me. All right. Final words. Sum it all up.
Final words. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your Badass Women podcast. That's an honor. Way beyond an honor. Wow. So if I could go back and I would just, number one, I would say, believe in yourself more. Trust that you can do it. Find people that are like-minded and surround yourself with them. Because I think that's the key. I think that's the real key. And find people like yourself that are successful and say, you can do it. Because you don't really know until you get there. And don't underestimate yourself. I think confidence is a very, 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 very big thing to learn, especially when you're young, especially if you're a female. You've got to work on that first before you have a relationship, whether you have a business, whether you have anything, confidence in just yourself, self-love. Because if you don't have that, you're just going to fall for anything. I've learned that. It took me a long, long, long time, especially being in the fitness community. And you just got to start in here and just trust yourself. That's about it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good
Yes.
to see you.
And congratulations on the marriage. We can't wait to see all the photos from New Zealand.